Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. We've over 9,600 videos. Can you imagine? Our team has been working diligently, providing all of this incredible value. And I hope that you are learning something from each and every one of us. That's why we're here. We're here to serve. Our show today is a woman's prerogative. And our topic is an interesting one: the net present value of your life. What does it mean? We're going to get into it. But if you've been here before, you know I'm not alone. My partner here, MARISKA, is joining me from Australia. She's been helping people all over the world. She is at the top of her game as a world-renowned coach. And she is certified in many ways, by the way. There's so many coaches on LinkedIn have 0 certification, and she's not one of them. So she's your go-to. Anything that has to do with leadership, with teams. She has an engineering background, and she's dynamo. Let's welcome her to the program, MARISKA. Hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me back.
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm really enjoying our show. We've been doing it for years now, and I'm so glad that we can work it out. What people don't realize is that you're actually a day ahead. So we have to figure out a time that's conducive for both of us, where neither one of us is in the middle of the night. So MARISKA, for people who are joining us for the first time, they don't know you. Tell the audience a little bit about who you help and how do you do it?
So the people that I normally work with and help, of course, as Dr. Jacalyn mentioned, are within the leadership space. And whether that is you stepping into leadership or whether you are stepping up in your leadership space, I work in both those areas because we need different skill sets when we move throughout this whole leadership journey of ours and bringing more humanness into what we do. And of course, the way that I do it is by partnering with you in a variety of different ways, whether it is through training modules to help you learn some of the general concepts potentially, or it might be in coaching where we actually see how we can implement some of these things for ourselves and make it authentically ours, so that it is not only a concept that lives in a book or in a training course that we did, but it is actually something that we can try out for ourselves and do in real life. Because yes, I don't know about you guys, I have read quite a few things and I don't always implement them. Or I've watched videos and I don't always implement those either. Even though they might be great ideas, I have not necessarily figured out how to do that. And through coaching, that is basically what we do. We figure out how to bring that into our own life. And of course, we might bump up to some belief systems or ways of thinking that served us in the past and might not be serving us anymore, or might not serve us when we want to implement the thing that we want to implement. So we work through those as well as we go and have loads of fun on the way, as we will have in this show for today too. So Dr. Jacalyn, I cannot wait to get into this topic. It sounds fascinating.
Thank you, Mariska. And for our audience, Mariska has typically no idea what we're going to discuss unless she came up with a topic. I literally came up with the topic. She does not even know where we're going to be going with it because we don't plan anything out. We just go authentically, organically, and see what happens. So for those of you out there who may have heard the term before, the net present value, it typically refers to money, the net present value of your money, the value of $1 today versus the value of $1 tomorrow. So if you were to take $1 and do something with it, invest it into something, it would be worth something. But if you take your money and you put it under your bed, for example, then you may be missing out on earning some interest or being able to invest it. And so the net present value of your money today is different than it's going to be tomorrow. So if we look at the net present value of our life, okay, dun, da, 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 it's basically comprised of the decisions we make today that will impact our future. So we're not looking at our worth in dollars, but we're looking at our worth in terms of purpose, of choices, and of the legacy that we will leave. And after all, we don't like to think typically about not being here anymore, although some people have no problem talking about it, and they think, they're going to have a better time when they're not here. I'm happy that my 2 feet are on the ground right now, and I'm just going to enjoy myself for as long as I can. So, Mariska, when you think about that, since you had no idea what we're going to talk about, the net present value of your life in terms of purpose, legacy, choices, what's coming up for you?
Well, what's coming up for me is that I think we don't necessarily always, I want to say plan out, because it's not a planning out. It's more of we don't realize that we are continuously creating. It's a continuous creation process, and each choice we make, each decision point, furthers us on that creation process. So that's sort of what's coming up for me is this, the net present is almost what am I creating today and what impact will it have on my tomorrow? Because it becomes my history. So I am basically living my history at the moment because tomorrow it's got to be history, right? And it will, in all likelihood, impact in some way, shape, or form what I may experience tomorrow. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other thoughts that came up around this as well, especially when we go into the areas and realms of enlightenment and how we grow as human beings and so on. So I won't go down that path at the moment, but that is what popped up into my head when you said net present value of our life.
Thank you for just rolling with it. And I want to bring up something because I think this is really going to be helpful when we're talking about this. And again, nothing was planned out. This is just totally impromptu. Okay, so one of our team members, Roland Friedel, actually shared this with me, and I use it quite frequently when I'm coaching. And so if we look at the net present value of our life, it can be divided up into decisions that we make in these particular areas. So we're always striving, I would hope, for happiness. And so in order to get to that 10, if we look at 10 as being the ultimate in happiness, we look at where are we on this grid, this wheel. And if you think about each of these 6 sections for our friends who are on an audio only platform, we're looking at the sections of our lives, which are career, lifestyle, personal development, health, relationships, and finances. And I want to share something, Mariska, I'd love to have you weigh in on this. When it comes to career, we probably have a number of people who are taking care of children. Maybe they're homebodies, maybe they're homemakers. And so they can still have a career, right? They can still have a career in their home. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the way that I would think about having a career, regardless of where you are, whether you are in a corporate setting or whether you are in a non-corporate setting or a homebody, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn. for me, career is really around how am I growing as a human being, right? And how am I contributing to those around me in my space? Now, I can do that at home with my family by raising children that is well adjusted, that understand how to take care of themselves, that will actually contribute to their home life as well as society as a whole. Then that is my career. That is part of my job. That's what I'm doing. And of course, as a parent, that is what you chose to do. Whether you are a homebody or not, you are still in charge of doing that. It's still your accountability is with you to ensure that that happens. Now, for some parents, because they are not at home and they are not able to do that themselves, they will employ or get other people to help them to do that. So you might have a daycare centre that you're sending your children to, or you might have friends and family that they might be staying with, whatever the case might be. So you are still doing it, but in a different way. Whereas when you are at home, you are doing it, and that is your career. That is part of your life's work, so to speak. So that's the way that I think about career. Dr. Jacalyn, how about you?
Absolutely. If we look at the net present value of currency, whether it is a euro or a pound or a dollar, what's your currency in Australia?
We also have a dollar. It's an Australian dollar.
That's what I thought. Okay, Australian dollar. If we look at the value of that today, one single dollar versus what that's worth 5 years from now, we have to factor in inflation and a bunch of other things. It's the same thing as looking at our life. So what is the value of what you're doing today in your career? What is the joy you're getting from it or not? What is the purpose that you are serving or not? What is the legacy you want to leave in this sector or not? And so as we go around into each of these different components, we may find that the net present value of our life in that sector is not where we want it to be. And if I take it back to money, if you have a portfolio and you're diversified and you have some of your money in holdings in the stock market and some of it in real estate, maybe you're doing better in one sector than the other. And maybe you think to yourself, oh, maybe I should pull out of this sector and invest everything in this sector. And it's the same thing as here. Maybe you're putting everything you have into your relationships and it's truly draining you. And as a result of it draining you, your personal development is suffering. So you're not able to grow personally or professionally because you're putting everything you have into a dysfunctional relationship or a relationship that's just not bringing you happiness. Mariska, thoughts?
I think, well, to your point on where we need to diversify and look at what is happening. So really making sure that wherever it is that we are putting energy into, it is also giving us some gains of some sort. So if I have 10 different relationships in my life, right? I might be married, so I have my relationship with my husband, I have a relationship with my parents, I have a relationship with my siblings, I have a relationship with some friends. So maybe there's a couple of different friend groups, and then there might be a couple of different professional groups. If any one of them, or more than one of them, for some odd reason, have a tendency to drain me, it doesn't make sense for me to invest time in that. Now, of course, it might be that because as you might have heard me say, some of my groups that I mentioned is individuals, and some of them are groups. So if I have a professional body that I belong to, that might be a group of people, not just one person. And in other instances, it might be one person. So if I think about my friend group, I might think about a specific friend, not just the group of friends. So if I have a friend, to take an example, that isn't serving me, we're not getting along, or there's some stuff that's not working out, I need to decide whether this is a relationship that I want to continue having. And as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, do I want to invest or divest? in this specific relationship, right? And what is the value that I'm gaining from this relationship? And what is the value that the other person is gaining from this relationship? And how are we making it a combined betterness or not? Because some relationships are really sacred. We can be our whole self, the other person can be their whole self, and we can both bring, because we both bring our whole selves, we can also create something quite new. And I'm not talking about another human being as in a romantic relationship, but we might be able to collaborate together on ideas, on work that we might do together, or even work that we are doing separately, but we are still collaborating together. So that's a sacred relationship. Whereas other relationships might just be transactional. And you might find that you have too many transactional relationships in your life and too little sacred ones. So looking at the balance that you have and how they are impacting your energy levels, how are they impacting how you feel about your life, about the people that you interact with. I mean, I would rather have interactions with people that I really love having conversations with than having 20 people around me and I don't really want to talk to any of them. But that's just me. Some people might be different. What's your thoughts on that, Dr. Jacalyn?
I love the fact that you brought up energy, and I'm keeping this chart up because we're going to come back to it in a minute. But money, currency is also energy, right? It's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It comes and it goes. And people have a really clear understanding. My bank account has money in it. My bank account needs more money. And my wallet has money in it. My wallet doesn't have money in it. But what people don't understand is when they think about these aspects of their life, the net present value of your life, they just don't pay a lot of attention to these things. When it comes to finances, that's a pretty easy one for people to understand. And as one of my colleagues and mentors said to me recently, the whole topic of money is boring, right? Because we have enough money, we don't have enough money. We have too much money. I don't hear that said too much. We need more money. Whereas these other areas of our life, there's actually opportunities to have this sense of fulfillment. Not that having money is not a sense of fulfillment, but knowing that it can come and go. It's the journey to get there. It's what we have to do to get there. And so I want us to think about all these aspects of our life. And I'll give an example with health. Okay, if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter how much money you have, because the doctors are human beings and they can only do so much. The drugs can only do so much. The holistic methods can only do so much. So we need our health for everything. But yet, are we finding purpose in the choices that we're making regarding our health? And I want to talk a little bit about this. So I'm going to take this down. So every day we wake up, we get a choice of what we're going to put into our body. We get a choice of how we're going to use our body. And yet sometimes because of our emotions, we may make decisions that are not in respect of our body. And the first thing that comes to mind is, because I'm very guilty of this, if I didn't make it a point to go to the gym every day, I could literally stay at home and just work until I couldn't see anymore and had to pass out and go to bed. I have my food delivered. I wouldn't have to leave. During the pandemic, I think that's when I got really used to it. Everything was brought to the house and I didn't go anywhere. But I have to exercise. So I make a point of it. It's on my calendar. It's non-negotiable. And I sign up for classes. And so by signing up for classes, if I don't cancel within 2 hours, then I can't cancel, because then certain things happen. And, you don't want to get a bad name for signing up for something that you don't. So health is the most important one, because without health, it doesn't matter about wealth. But yet when we think about leaving a legacy, we're not thinking about, wow, taking good care of ourselves so that nobody has to take care of us, so that we're not in diapers, sitting in a home, drooling somewhere. But yet people don't want to make those choices today. So by thinking about choices that you make today, Mariska, what can you share with us about some choices you make that you're very happy with, that you think will serve you in the future?
I think choices that I am happy with in general is, and going back to legacy. So for me, as you were mentioning legacy, it's also really around what is it that we are leaving? And it's not the physical leaving, right? Did I write a book, or am I leaving my family a house or whatever? It's not that type of legacy that I'm thinking of. It's more of a, what's the impact that I had on another person, even as deep as soul level, where they carry some of that goodness with them. And that to me is legacy. And I think the choices that I've made, and most probably the path that I'm on just in this lifetime, is around helping people within that space. And I am very happy that I went into coaching and I didn't necessarily stay in engineering. Not that I didn't do some of this work in my engineering space as well, maybe a little bit less formal. And I still made an impact, I hope, within my engineering space too, maintaining things and making sure things work the way that they're supposed to work. And even in that place, for me, the people I worked with is the ones that is really important to me, because those are the machines doesn't remember me. The house won't remember me. The people remembers me or not. And if you think about an interaction that you had with somebody that really impacted you, something that was really significant, that's a legacy that person left with you. And the funny thing about it is that a lot of the time we have interactions with people and we don't even realize the impact we have. We don't realize the legacy we are leaving. There's things from people I see as mentors, I'm sure that they can't even remember the conversation we had, but to me, it made an impact. So that's a legacy. And that's the way that I think about the things that I do, is how am I helping to pay forward those impacts that I might be having. And coaching and the work that I'm doing at the moment is some of that. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn?
I feel that what you just said is spot on. And I want to bring this back up again, because I think that each and every one of us will find that when we look at the net present value of our life in terms of leaving a legacy, that maybe our legacy is centered in one of these areas. And I'm not saying these are the only areas, again, finances, career, lifestyle, personal development, health, and relationships. But maybe your legacy is that you want your children to remember you in a certain way, or you want to leave certain things to them, or you want to set their life up for success. And that could also relate to finances, right? So that you want to be able to earn a certain amount of money so then you can leave it to your heirs. And that might be related to your health. You have to be in good health so that you can have a career to create the finances so that you can leave your legacy for your family members. For me, I'm really focused on personal development. I think that's really important because I'm easily bored. So I'm constantly reading, studying. I just signed up for this Wharton program. And that to me will be my legacy. I think this television network will be the legacy, but it's really founded on elevated listening. And elevated listening is really coming from the systemic work I've done in my educational process. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot because, again, you didn't know we were going to be talking about this because I didn't tell you. But the net present value of your life, when you look at this happiness wheel, what stands out for you as the category that you are definitely thrilled with? You are waving banners and going, whoa, I'm a 10 over here.
I think for me, it's most probably the personal development one, with relationships being a close second. And then, well, the yellow ones feel, except for the fact that yellow feels happy to me. The yellow ones for me in life in general at the moment feels all in a good space. The ones at the top, the blue ones, some of them might need some work. And I mean, they always need some work. Even if we get to a 10, we might go, well, is that, once we have gotten to the 10, is that our 10? Is that the maximum that we are capable of or not? And then your 10 might need to be readjusted, and then it adds a few numbers more.
Excellent point. As coaches, we're always pushing the envelope, right? So once we achieve something, we're setting new goals for ourselves. And when we work with our clients, it's similar. We want to encourage people to find the happiness. Now, sometimes people get to be a 10 in their own mind, right? Because we're rating ourselves and they want to stop there. And the example I can give of this is retirement age. Okay. So it used to be when I was growing up, you would work to be a certain age and then you would retire. And I think it was 55 back then. I don't even remember. But now it seems, not just with the economy, of course, that's part of it, but people are living longer and they want to continue to contribute. It's not enough in some cases to go and play golf or go fishing. Okay, that's a nice thing to do, but people are looking at it and say, wait, the net present value of my life it's still continuing and I still have more to give. So for me, I would say out of these 6 categories, my lifestyle is an absolute 10. And Mariska, I spoke today at SpeakerCon 2025, which was hosted by Dr. Cheryl Wood. And what I loved is she had pom-poms, she had sparkler things. She's cheering for herself all the time. And I think that's great. I'm actually going to get some pom-poms. By the way, yesterday I bought a crown. I'm really excited about, so I'm going to start wearing it. But I feel that my lifestyle is a 10 because of the choices that I've made. And the choices that I've made, by the way, have meant that I've had to sacrifice some relationships. I've had to really set up very clear boundaries. And people don't always like that. But by setting up my boundaries, I've set myself up for success, meaning that I am prioritizing the things that bring me happiness. So, Mariska, as a coach at the level that you are, can you imagine ever coaching one of your clients to stay in a miserable, unhappy situation?
I am not sure why they would want to be in a coaching space then. It's just, in my mind, it doesn't make sense. Why are we then having that conversation?
Because someone told them to. Because someone said you should speak to a coach. The partner said you need to speak to a therapist. You need, and so they just said, you know what? Fine, I'll just go ahead and do it.
Well, my question would most probably be for the person, when you think back to your 5-year-old self, what was the dream that person had? And how close are you now to that? Did you maybe lose it along the way? And then just leave them with that. I mean, it's your life. It's your choice. You can do with it really what you want. And if you want to continue the conversation and explore potentially what your 5-year-old self was dreaming for you so that we can make that a reality, great. Let's continue our conversation. And if you're not interested, that's fine too.
Absolutely. And I just want to segue to something that I thought of. Did you ever see the movie with George Clooney? It's called Up in the Air.
No, I don't think I have.
Well, I'll just give you the premise of it because it ties in exactly with what we're talking about. By the way, not a paid spokesperson for anything to do with this George Clooney movie. But in Up in the Air, someone creates a system where instead of firing people in person, it's done through teledistance, right? So this company wanted to have people let go. So an organization comes in, they sit with the people and they say, hey, by the way, today's your last day of work and here's a packet. And so during one of the sessions where George Clooney came in and he was speaking to this person who had worked at this company for a very long time, he said, unfortunately, today's your last day, blah, blah, blah. And of course, the guy was really upset. What am I supposed to do with my life now? And so as George starts to talk to him, he said, I see in your resume that you were a chef. And when did you give up on being a chef and doing what it is that you love? And I think the guy was the actor was kind of like, wow. He said, I never really thought about that. And so there is a point sometimes in life when there's something we really want to do, but instead of doing it, we do something else because it's going to pay more money. But ultimately, when we go back to this and the net present value of our life, by making those choices that are always heavily weighted with money, we could be absolutely miserable. And the thing that came up for me in this movie Up in the Air with George Clooney is when he said this to this person who was being laid off. The person was afraid, thinking, well, I've been out of the being a chef for so long. Like, how am I going to do that? And how am I going to make any money? Instead, I just read something about Mel Robbins, and she was talking about the fact that we're always looking at the worst side of things instead of saying, what would happen when I am a successful chef, when I am working at a top restaurant, instead of, when I'm sitting at home and I'm unemployed and we don't ever go the other way.
That is so true. That is so true. I think it might be because we are scared of our own potential. Because we really have so much potential. And yet, so few of us are even touching an inkling of that potential. Because we are scared. But what if this? But what if that? If we build our whole life out of what ifs, we end up sitting in front of the couch, in front of the TV on the couch and doing absolutely nothing because we are too afraid to do stuff. Whereas, isn't that why we have something like a TV? We exploring other people's adventures through it. Right? Go out, have your own adventure. That's what life is for. It's an adventure. We can have our own. We just need to decide to do that. And you can also pick your adventure any way you want. So be the chef or the ballerina or the whatever it is that you dreamed of. For me, speaking of dreams when I was little, I wanted to be a vet. If I was a vet, of course, Dr. Jacalyn, me and you would not have had this conversation, or maybe we might have, who knows.
I might have interviewed you in your vet capacity.
Yes, very possible. And I also found out at a fairly early age, about 16-ish, when one of our vets came to the farm to take a piece of wire out of our one cow because she ate it, that maybe veterinary services wasn't quite what I was cut out to be. So I needed to look at something different. And I was fine with that. I still love my animals to today. Dr. Jacalyn, you know that I have 2 very, very busy cats. And I still love my animals. But going into a veterinary practice wasn't quite what I wanted once I got exposed to it, right? So that's also part of our adventuring. We need to actually do the thing, try the thing to see, do we like it or don't we like it? And it's fine if we don't like it, but then at least we know that that isn't something that we want to do, as opposed to this is the other thing that I do want to do. Otherwise, you'll just be thinking, oh yeah, that would be so great. And as soon as you actually do it yourself, you go, yeah, this actually sucks.
Yeah. And I think the question that comes up is, what regrets do you have? For me, everything that's happened to me, there's been a lesson. Mm-hmm. And the lesson is there for the taking. So when we focus on this, again, this happiness circle, the choices that we're making today are impacting what's going to happen to us in the future. And so what I coach people on is I will say, listen, you make a decision. Instead of you going to sleep and running through it over and over and over again in your mind, thinking, oh, I didn't do the right thing. I don't know if I did the right thing. You just say to yourself, whatever it is, I'll make it work for me. And then you find a way to make it work. And people might challenge me on that, but in every situation, taking your energy, like the title of our show is What is the Net Present Value of Your Life? Taking your energy, just like the currency of money, and putting it someplace that's not going to benefit you is a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of space. If you were to be in your car driving and you had a big thing of cash, this was actually in Breaking Bad, and you opened the window and let all the cash go out the window, okay, and then you have no money, you wasted your currency. So as hard to believe as that is, unless you are someone who is incredibly wealthy and just wants to be generous in that way, unless you're incredibly wealthy, you're not going to do that. But yet you'll have no problem taking your energy from these areas and wasting it. So if we look at happiness as a 10, and we want each of these sections of our life to be a 10, and then when we get to the 10, then we'll readjust and say, okay, I want something more. I want to keep going because it's about the journey. If we're too much in one section, then the other sections are going to be compromised. And I want you to think of this circle as a wheel. It's a wheel, and a wheel runs smoothly, right? For the car to go, you have to have a smooth wheel. When we're not a 10 in all these areas, then it's not going to be a circle. It's not going to be a wheel. It could be a square, circle, square, and it's going to be very clunky when we're driving. And that's how our life is, because we poured so much of our energy into a relationship that was dysfunctional, or we poured so much of our energy into doing things that are unhealthy, or we're in a lifestyle that is not being embraced by our body and our mind. You know, there are people who are, the expression is burning the midnight oil. They're burning the candle at both ends because they think that this is their mission in life. But yet, if you were to look at currency, you wouldn't do that with your money. You're not going to take your money and go burn it, but yet you're burning yourself out. Does this make sense, Mariska?
It does. And I think it's interesting how we place so much emphasis and importance on money and finances. But yet, the one thing that we have so little of, which is time, it's finite. Everybody has the same amount. Literally, you came in the world and you have the same amount of day, time, and space, 24 hours in a day, as everybody else, right? We all have the same amount. There's no difference. Yes, some people live a little bit longer and they can do that for a little bit longer, but we all have the same amount each and every day, and yet we use it so differently, and we don't necessarily realize that we might be squandering it. It is like throwing your money out the window. It's throwing your time out the window, right? You have time, you have a space to be a certain way or to fulfill your soul mission in a specific way, and you may or may not be doing that at that point in time. And looking at our energy space, again, also, it is a flow. So we have a constant flow of energy within our life. And if we have blockages within our flow of energy, so you might have stress, that blocks your energy because you are more tired. Because you are more tired, you want to rest more, which means that because you want to rest more, you do less for whatever reason. And then you start to eat unhealthy stuff and you start to not exercise, which means that impacts your energy more. So you get more tired and you want to rest more. See, bad cycle, which makes your energy, your quality of energy, really badly impacted. And that too is a form of currency, because as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, a little bit earlier on, money is energy, and so is everything else in your life. So why are we giving so much importance to one type of energy, but not to all the other types of energy that is even more important than that one? Because that one enables us to do some transactions, and it doesn't even enable us to do all transactions, right? Relational transactions, so relationships. There's not a lot of money. You can't buy a friend. I know some people think they might be able to, but nah, we can't buy friends. We are either a person that somebody wants to be a friend with, or we are not a person that somebody wants to be a friend with. It's not a money transaction. So understanding how we utilize our time and energy is really important. And it feels like in society we have decided to place the emphasis in the wrong place. And I'm not sure what's your thoughts on that, Dr. Jacalyn. What are you seeing?
I absolutely agree with you, for sure. And we do have a second part of the happiness circle, which are certain questions and statements, but we don't have time to get into it because we have to get this show on E360 TV for the next 20 minutes. So I want to thank you, Mariska, for exploring this topic with me. What is the net present value of your life? And I think we will have a part 2. However, next week we have a different topic. So we'll probably circle back to this in about 2 weeks. So Mariska, there in Australia, first of all, is it summer? I thought you're opposite of us because we're going into winter and you look like you're just as cold as I am. What's going on there?
Yes, we are going into summer, and we also have a couple of cold spells when we are proceeding into our summer period. So today is one of those colder days. Currently, I'm not used to the climate here as yet. It's only my second summer season that I am here, and the first one was a little bit weird, apparently. So normally when we move from winter to summer, our spring has a couple of more winter-related days than summer-related days. And today is one of them. Yeah.
And what time is it there in Australia?
Currently, it is 11:45 a.m. for me on a Friday. So yes, I am having the last day of my week. I woke up this morning thinking it's Saturday. So,
and it's 7:45 p.m. Thursday here. So we get our Friday tomorrow. So I wish you a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much for being here. I do believe you are doing your talking heads next week. Is that correct?
I think that is the plan. I will need to go and consult my calendar, but I think so, yes.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you for being here. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Obviously, your coaching skills are exemplary, and there are people out there seeking help, and they can reach out to you how?
Well, if you are a leader stepping into leadership, or you are already within your leadership space and you are stepping up in your leadership space, you are more than welcome to reach me at either my email address, which is Mariska, MARISKA, at journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. If you have, I think, if you are 2 people removed from me, you would see my surname. But if you are more than that removed from me, you will only see Mariska D. So there's a photo of me, so you know that that's the one, and you found the right one. And then, of course, you can also get hold of me via my website, which is Journey, JOURNEY, 2 discover, DISCOVER.com. And there's a little form that you can fill in, and then we can start our conversation that way. So that's all the ways that you can get hold of me.
All right, phenomenal. Thank you so much for being here, Mariska. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure and a joy. And as you know, and I know, I'm going to be traveling abroad. So we will be seeing each other at a different time for me. So, all right. Well, thank you. Enjoy your weekend. I wish you all the best. And thank you for exploring the net present value of your life with me.
Well, thank you for the lovely topic. And I look forward to seeing you on your travels.
All right. Goodbye for now. Bye. Well, that concludes another episode of A Woman's Prerogative. Thank you for being here. Our next show is coming right up, and it's actually my show that I'm hosting. It's called Let's Finally Talk. It's a show that I'm doing every single day. That's right. It takes a huge commitment. I'd rather be doing a lot of other things, but I specifically picked this time because it was making me feel uncomfortable. And that's what life is about. Getting uncomfortable is when we grow. If you have any questions about the net present value of your life and you're interested in exploring it or having a conversation, please do reach out to me. My information is there somewhere here. And of course, alternatively, you can reach out to Mariska, and here is her information. And you can reach out to the two of us together. What do you think of that? All right. Thank you for being here. We're going to sign off. We're actually not going to our sponsors for now because we need to conclude the program. But we do thank you, sponsors, and we'll be running your sponsorships on future programs. Thank you again. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.